I play a lot of ranked in Splatoon 2, and the one mode I dislike the most for solo queue is definitely Clam Blitz. I think it has the least team coordination out of all the modes. With a lack of communication and people always trying to do things by themselves, there's never really a guaranteed win unless you use the limited communication buttons on the D-pad, hope your teammates have awareness, and somehow work together to get the victory. And with things like Inkbrush users always trying to cheese the mode and going off by themselves, it can be really frustrating trying to get a push started. And when you do get a push started, sometimes you can't even keep the basket open, even when you're pressuring the other team. This is because clams randomly spawn at their designated spots after you pick them up. To me, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. You could either have clams respawn right next to the enemy basket after you just picked them up, or you could have no clams within a 20-mile radius of the basket and have your pushes end early. And knowing my luck, it's usually the latter. As you know, jumping with clams is a mechanic in this mode, and it's very useful for pushing. However, I hate that once the opponent gets to jump to their teammate, it's basically a guaranteed clam or power clam into the basket unless you have that frame-perfect bomb on their jump spot. And even then, you might not even be using a weapon with a bomb. Imagine you're in overtime, the other team was pushing and now has 3 people down, but the last person, holding a power clam of course, gets to jump to their teammate before they die and wins the game for them. You kill them immediately, but they've already thrown the clam and the game is over. It's frustrating knowing there's not much you can do about it the majority of the time, unless they manage to miss or not throw it in time. Another thing I dislike is the baller technique in this mode. One thing people like to do is baller into a place where their teammate can throw their power clam in and then have them jump to them, if they're paying attention of course. The obvious solution is to break the baller before they get into your base, but sometimes there isn't enough time to break the baller or there aren't enough people shooting at it and the other team ends up getting a power clam in. And of course, you have the people that baller in while holding a big clam. Now the obvious solution here is to not break the baller, right? Wrong. Because if you fail to destroy the baller before they get under the basket, half the time you'll still have a teammate that continues to break the baller and allow them to throw it in. It's always painful to witness this. And lastly, the ultimate combination. Ballering in with a big clam while your teammate waits to jump in with their big clam. And if they get under the basket, that's at least one big clam basically guaranteed into the basket. An additional pet peeve of mine about this mode is that the overtime is so short. Why? Why is it only 20 seconds? Imagine this, the other team just finished pushing and overtime just started. You really think we have enough time to get across the entire map, fight the other team, and throw a power clam into their basket? Do you know the amount of times my team has been able to successfully infiltrate their base, only to not be able to throw in the big clam due to the timer? It's so frustrating. If they do plan on bringing Clam Blitz back to Splatoon 3, I really hope they extend overtime. Here are my thoughts on why this mode is just better in competitive. It's just one word for that. Communication. People are in voice chat with their team and can coordinate pushes and defend properly. No one's rushing in by themselves, they're working together. Now I'm not saying that Splatoon should add voice chat in ranks because that's a disaster waiting to happen, but I am saying there should be more communication options in the game, which brings me to my next point, more communication options on the D-pad. There are 4 directions on the D-pad and only the up and down buttons are in use. For Clam Blitz, I think they should add 2 more options to fill in those last slots. For run button, there should be a not yet type of message. Because in solo queue, there's always that teammate that tries to push in by themselves and fails the majority of the time, leaving your team 1 down and giving the other team a better opportunity to push. For the other button, a let's push message. Right now, this way can be used as jump to me or let's push, but it can also be misinterpreted. I think a clear let's push can be used to let your teammates know to save their special and start to move together towards the opponent's basket. Lastly, here's a quick tip on the mode. If you take 3 clams from a clam spawning spot, it prevents more from spawning in that spot since there's only 1 clam remaining. This can be useful when you're in the lead and want to prevent the other team from creating power clams or just picking up clams in general. I feel like a lot of people don't know this in solo queue and it can be really useful. Overall, Clam Blitz can be so much better than it is right now. The lack of communication in the game really holds it back. You'll get frustrated by teammates who refuse to work together or simply pay attention to what's happening. And sometimes even you're not paying attention at critical moments too. I think that if more communication options were added for the mode, it could reach its true potential for solo queue. From a competitive point of view, this mode is fine. I hope that can be achieved in solo queue if Clam Blitz is in Splatoon 3 as well. There are people that haven't played the mode in solo queue in months because of how bad it is. And I don't blame them. And please, please, please remember to jump with the big clam. It is a mechanic in the game that some people just refuse to take advantage of. And the amount of times we could have taken lead but don't because a teammate decides to walk the big clam to the basket instead of jumping and then dies drives me insane. Thanks for watching.